All right, get in here, come out of the cold. It's an all-new Steel and Vance. So many places are shut down or snow days. The kids are home from school for a couple of days. That's been a bit of a trip.
Yeah, and
Fun
if you're
for
thinking,
some.
oh, I'm out there shoveling, I don't want to do it. Well, imagine this job. So this is a worker at the top of the Alex Fraser Bridge. He's a RATS, a rope access technician, sending a collar down to sweep all the snow and ice off. Oh my gosh, you got to have guts to do that.
I can barely even watch this. Never mind, think of doing something like that. This is because those ice bombs, right?
Yeah.
This is the answer to the ice bomb.
Thank you for keeping us all safe. We
Speaking of
appreciate
thank
all
yous.
those tough jobs. Oh, okay. So we have a viewer named Bunny Horn. Hi, Bunny. And she reached out and said, I'm a little bit, not that busy, and I would like to make you guys something based on a photo from your show. So we sent her this photo, which is from our last photo shoot.
Yep.
And then she sent back about a week later this amazing hooked rug.
Look at this.
Check this out. Oh my God, I was so impressed. I thought it was going to be super, super small.
Yeah, when you opened it up and held it up, I was like, hold on a second, because it looks small even in that. So just for reference sake.
Yeah. Bunny, thank you so much. That is so amazing. You are so lovely, and we really appreciate it.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Any other super talented viewer we have out there who wants to send us
I
something?
mean, you got to top Bunny now.
Yeah.
You got to top Bunny. Or you can get involved in our viewing party and live up to Linda's expectations of seeing your beautiful faces watching us doing this. Are you part of the viewing party? You can get in on it. And today, the prize is a $150 gift card for Tap and Barrel. Delish. $150 at Tap and Barrel goes a long way. You can have a good time there. And all you got to do is take a picture of you watching us right now and send it in to viewingparty@chekmedia.ca. And notice the CHEK, CHEK.
And tell us where you're from, too,
Yeah.
because we like to know where you're watching from.
Yes.
Now, last week we had the chief of the Vancouver Police Department in the studio, and we were talking about the growing number of protests that police, and other events, but mostly protests that police are having to manage. And then the police came out a couple days later after the chief was on the show and said, in fact, there are something like 80 protests that just connect to the Israel-Hamas war just since October that they've had to deal with, costing them $2.5 million in overtime. And that prompted this email from a viewer.
Check this out. We love getting emails from you. And this viewer said, as the mother of a police officer, I find the sheer amount of protests ridiculous. I think these protesters need to start paying for the policing costs needed to keep them safe, keep the affected businesses safe, and the public safe.
And, if you say, oh, come on, it is your right to protest, which it absolutely is. Get this, it turns out that there are several cities where organizations are paying people to get involved in these anti-Israel protests, including in Victoria.
Yeah,
this is a big problem.
All of those signs that look almost identical or are identical, odds are they're not homemade.
Yeah, people out
signs.
there sort of blocking bridges and what have you. A lot of times it is a protester who's getting money to do it. Frustrating.
There's a lot of frustration in our show today in terms of trying to deal with some of the moving parts of trying to keep afloat at a very difficult time. This is what's coming up on Steel and Vance. The post-pandemic hangover for restaurants. I think we all now know a restaurant that's shuttered.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
I mean, this is a devastating time. And in fact, today is the day that everybody has to pay back small businesses these pandemic loans. A lot of them do not have the money. So we're going to be talking to Ian Tostenson, who is head of the BC Restaurant and Food Services Association.
Right. Sound familiar? Because BCRFA is one of the sponsors of our viewing party. So it sounds familiar. But he supports local. He supports restaurants. He's at the forefront trying to help restaurants thrive, and we're going to talk about these CEBA loans coming due. We're also going to talk about something that has both of us a little hot under the collar.
Yeah, every week another semi hits an overpass. It just happened again. This one happened the other day, and it was a trucking company that was carrying a helicopter, part of a helicopter, smashed into the thing. That company's now been, I believe, had its license or its fleet sort of taken off the road right now. So we're going to talk to the head of the BC Trucking Association, Dave Earle. What the heck is going on? The province brought in new legislation, still hasn't stopped the problem.
It's actually, we barely got out of here from last week where we're like, not again. We don't even reference what's happening anymore. It's
probably one happening as we speak.
Shh, hush your mouth. We're also going to talk Alzheimer's Awareness Month. We've been saying we were going to have someone on to discuss this. If you are dealing with or facing these signs of dementia, what do you do? Well,
We both have the similar story, and we both know, or at least I do anyway, how difficult it was in the very early part of the diagnosis. What do I do? Who do I call? You know, oh my gosh, it's so stressful and scary, and we're going to give you advice. And there is a dementia hotline.
Yes.
So get a pen out in the commercial break because you might want to take down that number.
Right, CEO Jen Lyle will be our guest in studio. Jen wearing her forget-me-not there. That's the symbol for the Alzheimer's Society BC. Also, we're going to have some fun on this show because, the love stories that are coming in for our Valentine's Day contest. You can get in on this, our Hot Rocks contest. It's easy. Tell us your love story, and you could win a $3,000 lab-grown diamond, compliments of Kim Hellman Diamond Brokers. hotrocks@chekmedia.ca is the email address, and you tell our love story.
Well, and by the way, you don't have to currently be in love or married or whatever. It could be you love your dog, you love your child, whatever it is. Just tell us who you're most in love with or your most interesting love story.
Your high school sweetheart.
Put you in the contest.
We had somebody who sent us one about his cat, how he loves his cat.
See? There you go.
I love my dogs. It is time for... dive into those hot headlines.
Well, this is no surprise because BC Hydro is going, oh yeah, we set a record the other day. This weather has been so miserable that Alberta was almost in the rolling blackout stage. We were okay. I think we even diverted some power to them.
Yeah, we shared a little with Alberta and with Washington State. It was like this little shell game of energy that we had going on. But I, as a born and raised Vancouverite, minus 20 is not normal for Vancouver. Holy, I thought I left that all behind when I left Ontario. My goodness.
And, you know, as if the bad roads weren't enough, there was a very distinct odor going on in Delta.
I experienced this firsthand, guys. This was scary. This was the Delta Police Department's release that they put out. We have been advised by Fortis BC that the strong odor being noted in Ladner is actually the result of a controlled odorant release. I drove through Ladner. I almost pulled over to call 911. It smelt like a gas leak.
And it was.
2 hours later in Tawasin, it was worse. I can only imagine what residents were feeling like. It was very scary, and hopefully next time Fortis might give us all a heads up.
The Vancouver police are both getting kudos and criticized for, it was revealed how they managed to catch a rapist murderer of a 13-year-old girl in Metro Vancouver. And they knew that the suspect was of Kurdish descent. They ended up going to a community center where there were a lot of Kurdish people. They said they were tea marketers, we're doing tea testing and you can win a prize. And they got all these people to unknowingly give DNA samples, and turns out the killer's brother was one of the people, and that's how they eventually got him.
And to enter the prize, you'd have to give your name. That's how they were able to track whose cup was whose. And
a lot of people said, that's racial profiling. This is outrageous. I can't believe it. But the premier said, hey, the police got a very dangerous man off the streets, and he was okay with it.
I want to know from our viewers, email us. Tell us what you think on that subject matter. I think that's rather a hot topic.
I'd be okay with it if someone said, hey, there's a bunch of middle-aged white women somewhere who are suspects or murdering somebody, and I got duped into a tea sample. I'm good with it if it meant getting someone off the street who was dangerous.
I agree with you, Linda, and we talk all the time about the CCTV kind of thing, which is a thing going on in Richmond right now, because you may or may not remember when there was a shooting at YVR, and the cops were shutting down all these roads trying to figure things out, and the RCMP said, sorry, Derek, can you put that headline back up there again? Sorry, I'm late to but the Richmond Council has approved these traffic cameras now, $6.5 million for high-res cameras at these intersections in Richmond so that they can track people who might be criminals. And the people are outraged by it.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Take my picture. Everybody's taking pictures with their cameras.
So I'm good with it.
Exactly.
Also in Surrey, they have just spent over $400,000 putting in 2 of these Portland loos. They're these metal bathrooms, but in this case, they have what are called Brave sensors in them. So if you go in and maybe you're a drug user and you overdose and you don't come out in a certain period of time, it alerts someone to go and check you who has naloxone.
How much was the bathroom?
The bathrooms are $400,000, and that's before installation, which they're just like little metal things. I'm thinking, you could buy you could buy a very small condo, a micro loft for that.
Well, if you can get your hands on a small condo or a rental, because that's sort of a new topic for the federal government, being asked if it's time to cap foreign students coming, the temporary foreign students coming here, learning here, and then leaving here, not working here, and taking up housing.
Did you know that about 20% of the foreign students who come here don't even actually go to school? They're just discovering now that there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people who are coming in, well over 1 million, and then going, gee, why do we have no housing? So the federal government's finally going, maybe we're going to put a lid on that. So stay tuned for more on that.
We'll keep you posted. Let's talk about the Bay. We've talked a lot about going to that. I was just there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, the downtown Bay is a bit of a, I've been saying really since the pandemic that I think it's going to close. That's just me. I don't know anything, but right now they're having all kinds of problems. The escalators are down, the elevators are down, and now check out this. Yeah, that's what they think is potentially raw sewage all over the floor. So now the Bay is actually closed. It might be open today, but it was closed this week because of some weird, suspicious flood.
Well, I went into the Bay and see how it said 70% off there. I went through and I shopped and I grabbed this and this. I'm like, 70% off? Sure. I got to the cashier. She's like, you got to read the bottom part.
None of those
this is on sale. I'm like, oh, man.
That's always the way. You know what else is closed? Victoria's Secret, the big flagship on the corner of Robson and Burrard, gone. But they are reopening in Pacific Center in a different location.
So just that massive store, that doesn't surprise me. That's a big piece of real estate. Trump won in Iowa, no surprise.
Yeah, good Lord. However, he won by 50%-ish, which also means 50% of hardcore Republicans in Iowa didn't want him to be the candidate.
And
so
I think
that's
only 14% of eligible Iowa Republican voters actually turned out.
I was also very cold. However,
it was very cold.
Yeah, and one last thing. So there's a new survey out from Travel and Leisure magazine that has rated Canada #1 when it comes to being the safest place to go on vacation or travel in 2024.
I love that for us.
Yay,
I'm a proud
Canada.
Canadian. Yeah, when everybody's like, we're broken, it's over, it's not. It's
we have
great.
Problems, but we're not broken.
Let's just pull together and be Canadian. What's coming up?
Well, it's D-Day for small businesses in BC. Their pandemic loans are due. That could spell the end of the road for many. BC restaurants are in big trouble, and they are sounding the alarm. Next.
And it is time for the viewing party. Oh, we got so many emails this last week. Anne-Marie and Maggie May and poor Moody.
Love it. Bev in Was, who looks like she's doing thumbs down, but I think she's pointing at the TV.
We'll go with that. Clarice in Langford.
Hello. And Diane in Comox Valley. Hello to you all. Thank you for watching. Good luck.
Viewing party at CHEKmedia.ca. Enter to win a gift card at Tap and Barrel. $150. Now, get shopping.